Watch this. You're going to be like so super impressed with this. This is high tech is what I'm saying.
Talk is cheap. It's overrated. My actions speak what I'm actually saying. In the end, what you do, that's gonna hang around. I said talk is cheap. It's overrated. My actions speak what I'm actually saying. 'Cause in the end, what you do, that's gonna hang around. Well, I've seen a lot of things. Well, I've said a lot of things. Don't amount to nothing, nothing, nothing. Well, I've heard a lot of things. Well, I've seen a lot of things. Well, I've said a lot of things. Don't amount to nothing. Oh, well, I've heard a lot of things. Well, I've seen a lot of things. Well, I've said a lot of things that don't amount to nothing.
Hello, welcome to Talk is Cheap. This is episode number 64. Here we are at the show where you get exactly what you pay for. But you know what? It's free. That's right. But you get a lot of fun here. We're going to have an awesome show for you tonight. I'm really excited. The show, we call it the show that almost never happened. We've had a little bit of some tech issues, but guess what? We're here, guys. So I'm really excited about that. We have so much fun scheduled for you tonight. We have on the show, we have the unbelievable veteran comic Tommy Moore is here. That's right. Tommy Moore is here. We got him here. Don't even ask me how, okay? Because I don't know. It was an act of God, but he is here tonight, and I can't wait. We have Christy Largent on. She is going to help us to share. She's going to share some positivity, and thank God for that. Thank God for that, because we didn't know if that was. We need some positivity. Let's just say. And then my co-host is Max Docelli, and so that's going to be so much fun. So I'm really excited, you guys. Anyway, we do have, don't worry, we do have the Chewy cam. Let's bring Chewy up and let's say hello to Chewy. There he is, you guys. He's here. He's messed up his blanket. He knows he's not supposed to do that at showtime, but he doesn't care. And yes, he's had his quiet moments, you guys. He's had his. For those of you who don't know what the quiet moments are, these are the quiet moments. And I think I might need a couple myself after tonight. Anyway, so he's had those. So yay for Chewy. Let's just say hello and see who's here. Let's see. We've got Mike James. I'm not speaking to Mike. Hi, Mike. I'm not speaking to you. Let's see. Fran. Hi, Fran. I'm so glad you're back. You joined us again tonight. It's going to be really fun tonight. And my friend Tom Hoyes. Love you, Tom. Glad you're back here. Brian Kahatsu, my buddy Brian. I'm glad you joined us tonight too, because this is going to be an awesome show. All right. We are not going to wait. We're not going to wait to get it started. You know why? Because I'm impatient and I don't want to wait any longer. So we're going to get started very shortly. I'm going to bring up my co-host. Are you ready? All right, guys. 30 years he's been in the comedy business. He's performed in comedy clubs and comedy festivals and on cruise ships, corporate events, anything that starts with a C. I don't know, cabins, the cocktail hours, Christmas shows. Anyway, he also has out a dry bar special. Make sure you check out his dry bar special. It's so funny. He's amazing, you guys. I've gotten to work with him, and I can't wait until we get to work together again. He's back here on Talk is Cheap. Please welcome my co-host for tonight. I'm sorry, I'm trying to bring up my my applause, because you know how I have to bring my own applause. So I'm trying to get that here ready for you. Okay, let's see, because he insists on it. He insists on applause. Please welcome Max Docelli, you guys. Oh, there it is. There it is.
Thank you. Thank you. Look, the unknown Christmas comic. Like Murray Langston, but only more festive.
Yes, I've never heard of him before. Yes.
You've never heard of Murray Langston?
No, I've never heard of the unknown Christmas comic. So that's a new one.
Can't get it
Where's
off.
my gong? Where's my gong? Max, I'm psyched you're here.
Hi.
How you doing?
Oh, la vita è bella. Life is beautiful.
Oh, that's great. You know, I love your pictures. I love your posts on Facebook and how you post pictures of all kinds of funny things and beautiful things outside.
We live in an enchanted forest. We have where we live. Our back beyond our house is the Nathan Hale State Park. Nathan Hale, remember him?
Sure, Nathan.
Nathan Hale, yeah. Like didn't he like making like hot dogs or something?
Was that wait, yeah, was it
Nathan Hale
was he with Gilligan?
No. Nathan Hale was famous for blurting out, "My only regret is that I have one life to give to my country," while he was being hung. He had no idea he was going to be famous. If he had known he was going to be famous for it, he wouldn't have plagiarized it from a play.
Had he known.
It was actually plagiarized from a play called Cato. But it's a very famous, you know, the British said, "Wow, isn't that great? This young kid who got drunk at a bar one night and said, 'Guess what? I'm a spy.'" Oh no. He was a spy for George for you know the Revolutionary War.
And seriously, that's how he got found out.
He got drunk, and one of his friends ratted him out, and because there were still loyalists in America at the time. And he was in New York, and they found out he was a spy, and they hung him. And while he was being hung, he blurted out, "My only regret is I have one life to give to my country," which was a line from a play that was very popular in New York at the time called Cato. You can Google it.
Okay. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Maybe I will Google it, Max.
Google it, all right?
Maybe I will.
Amazing? Google is amazing. No matter how bad you spell a word, honestly, no matter how bad you spell a word, it knows exactly what you're looking for. You could actually type in ZXWQI, and then it'll say, "Did you mean Robin?" Yes!
How did you know? How did you know?
Did you see me?
It's because they're listening. You know, that just cracks me up. They're listening. And you just like picture like a room full of people listening.
Yeah,
it's like, hey, she just mentioned vacuuming. Put up the Dyson ad. You know what I mean? You know, like who's in there?
Get Dyson axe tomorrow because of what you just said.
I probably will. I probably will.
And so will I. Thank you.
And you're welcome for that. Hey, June wants to say hi. So June Colson's here. That's right, June. She's awesome. She's talk is cheap with humor and history. We have it all here, June. We learn here. I learn every day.
When was June born? What month was she born in?
I don't know. I think she was born in May. But she was late. So that could have been it. I don't know. No, I'm excited you're here, Max. You've oh my gosh, you've been in comedy for so long.
40 years. You said 30. 40
years.
I
said 30.
I started 1979, audition night, Catch Rising Star, Manhattan. I had my 5 minutes together, and actually it was maybe 8 minutes. I don't remember what it was. Anyway, had it all together, and the other people that night that were auditioning, one of them was Bill Maher.
Oh my word.
And I passed, and I think he may have passed too, because he became a staple there afterwards. Yeah.
That's awesome. I love to hear the stories. I love it. You know, it's just awesome.
It was the craziest thing, because do you remember the first time you went on stage?
Yeah.
How frightened you were?
Yes.
How everything seemed so surreal?
Yes.
And that's how it was. When I was introduced, I felt like I was walking into another dimension.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because I walked on stage and the audience was in a different realm. And luckily, what saved me, and this is the truth, there was a woman sitting right up front, and she had the ugliest dress. It had like frills and things. It's something from outer space. And I don't know what compelled me, because I had my 5 minutes and I'm trying to remember my 5 minutes,
Yeah. Yeah.
And I looked down and I looked at her. I said, you probably spent 3 hours getting ready for tonight's date, and that's the best dress you can come up with. The audience exploded with laughter. The audience exploded with laughter. Rick Newman I was looking at Rick Newman. He's like, and then I went into my material. It wasn't as funny.
Because that was the funniest line.
He told me to come back. So.
Oh my gosh. Do you remember like one of your earlier jokes? And do you still use any of your early stuff?
I don't think I do anymore. A lot of the jokes I used to do, you can't do anymore.
Oh yeah.
Because people are politically correct now. You can't do anything that's related to anything that's
right.
Yep,
I know. You're like, can't
or
say
any group or any gender or nothing.
No. And it's I was watching my husband and I were watching the roasts, the old roasts on TV. I don't know, we just started watching all of them because you just like, sometimes you just want those nostalgic moments, and so we were watching all the Dean Martin roasts.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, like they couldn't get away with this much of the stuff that they said on Dean. I mean, that was what, the 70s?
Yeah.
That was the 70s, right?
Yeah, it's and it's funny. And you have tonight, we have your guest is Tommy Moore. He's a scholar in the world of comedy. He knows, he's the guy that all comedians, he's the historian of comedy.
Yeah. I'm so super excited to have him on, and especially with the two of you. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna feel like a baby. That's pretty much I did
comedy, but with computers, not so much.
That's all right. He made it here. By the grace of God, he is here. So
the kid that lives next door, help me out. His wife helped him, right?
Hey, we come in handy, us wives sometimes. You know what I mean?
This is more.
Yeah. So, oh my gosh. Well, you know what? I'm gonna keep the show running along here, and bring up.
Are we running now?
We're running. This is as fast as I go. This is my exercise. You can't see it right now, but I'm actually holding my stomach in. So, all right, ready? She's the author of the book 31 Positive Communication Skills for Women. I'm sure you could use them too, Max. She's the host of the podcast Encouraging Words for Working Moms. She's the founder of the Midlife Happy Life community, and here to tell us 3 strategies to help stay positive in the holiday season and beyond. Please welcome Christy Largent.
Hi, Christy.
Well, I'm so happy to be with you guys. I feel in awe of all of the comedy awesomeness that's on this show. And then you've got me. I'm like, what the heck?
We love you, Christy. I mean,
and I feel in of you.
That's so nice.
Okay, I'm not sure what that means, Max, but I'll take it positively. Oh my gosh. Well, I'm so happy to be here. Have you noticed that things are a little negative these days? You may not have noticed that. I mean, just a tinge. And I think it takes all that we can corral to not just make jokes out of it, but to like actually have a happy life that's positive, where we're able to really enjoy life. And I mean, I know I got really discouraged at the beginning of November with everything that happened, and even before then. And I had to like go off all media because I'm like, this is not helping me. I am supposed to be positive. It's like my job, right? And so I went off and I kind of got my head together. And so the 3 things that I'm going to share with you tonight are some things that really help me. They help over and over again. I've been teaching this content for about 4 years, and I'm working on my certification from the University of Pennsylvania in positive psychology. And so what I'm going to teach you is backed in science, and it's also pretty fun to do because I am all about having fun as well. So 3 S's to match our, what did I say? 3 strategies to stay positive. So I've got 3 S's for you. And the first thing that you want to do if you're feeling down is you're going to seek the good. And I call this putting on an opportunity mindset. And this is where you look for the good intentionally. And it is out there. I mean, even with everything that's happening in our political world today in our United States and abroad, you know what? Thank God we can have this opportunity to conflict, right? Like,
right.
Go Max.
We live in a country, and I've gotten heat on Facebook for this. We live in a country where everybody has access to clean water. Okay, I understand Flint. Okay, we have food, we have shelter, we have, and yet our people in America complain more than anybody else, and we have it so good here.
We got it so good, and
have the freedom to complain about it.
Exactly.
There are people, did you know, and I kid you not, in the world every single day about 10,000 people die of starvation. And I kid you not, every single day about 10,000 people die of starvation in this world. And we don't have that in America. And I don't care if somebody says, "Well, no, there are people starving in America." They're not. They really aren't. Or unless I'm wrong. Am I wrong?
Well, and here's the thing. The beauty of America is that we all can have our own opinion. I mean, this is historically the beauty of America,
right?
That we can have our own opinion. So what I'm saying is let's look for the good, even in as difficult as this election season has been. Thank God we can have it. I've lived in Eastern Europe. I've traveled in Eastern Europe before the Iron Curtain fell, and my children were born in China. I know what it's like in communism and socialism where they shut you down. And so far, they're trying, but they haven't shut us down yet. So what we have to do is look for the good. You're going to seek the good. Keep that opportunity mindset. Find the good in everything. Okay, so that's the first thing you're going to do.
Okay.
Then the second thing is you're going to strategize the bad. Because let's face it, bad stuff happens, right? And not everything is like hunky-dory all the time. So what do I do? How do I strategize through the bad? Well, first of all, you recognize the difference between the circumstance you're in and your judgment about the circumstance.
Okay, can you give me an example? Yeah.
I would love to give you an example. Okay. So, for example, your 13-year-old son comes at you, and this is a hypothetical, of course.
Oh no, I have a 14-year-old son.
Oh, you do? I do.
Yeah.
So you can confirm I do too.
Oh,
and so
this is my interaction. Hey, Gino, you want to go out and do something? Leave me alone. Leave me alone.
Why are you so demanding?
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So your 13-year-old son is a jerk to you. Just say. And so what are you going to do? You're going to be like, "Oh, I'm such a bad parent. I mean, he's such a little, you know what? And I'm just so irritated with this. And I want to go down that spiral loophole." That's my judgment about it. Speaking of, he just walked in here. Come say hi, Graham.
No way.
So yeah. Okay. So you can either spiral down. That's your judgment. I'm a horrible parent. He's a horrible child. Why did I ever have children? I mean, there you go.
After this,
I know. He's used to it. I'm a speaker for a living, for Pete's sake. So that's the judgment. Okay. Instead, what I want to do is I want to identify the circumstance, and the circumstance is that he's 13. Right. And the reality is 13-year-olds are just like on a different world. Their brain is not fully developed. We know that. The circumstance is that I totally love the circumstance. That's a feeling that I love him. But the circumstance is that he didn't get a good night's sleep last night. And he didn't get a good grade on a test, and he was really upset about it. Or he was up late studying. He was working out for tennis, whatever it is, right? That's the circumstance. not my judgment. Do you see the difference between the two?
Right.
So you can take that with any situation. You can take it with the marriage. You can take it with the boss from hell. You can take it with anything. And if you're able to separate out that difference between the circumstance and your judgment about that circumstance, then you're going to be in so much of a better place. Does that make sense, kind of?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So what we're going to do after we separate it out, you're going to recognize your feeling, and then you're going to go back up to the top, which is look for the good. Right. You're going to seek out the good right around, because I mean, thank God I have a 13-year-old. All those years I wanted kids. Now I have 16 and 13. And I'm so thankful for that, if I remind myself of that. Okay. So seek the good.
And they're healthy.
And they're healthy. Thank the Lord. Yeah. Strategize the bad. And then thirdly, you're going to select your focus. Point number 3 is you're going to select your focus. And this is the good thing. I mean, you know, as comedians, what you focus on is what happens. I mean, you go in a show and you see that guy sitting there like this, and you focus on him.
That's who you focus on.
And where does your show go? In the toilet, right?
No,
yeah, you're like, that's what, if you're just looking at him, it's like your show, like that's how you judge your show, right, Max? You're like, you know, there could be 300 people there. There's that one guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but after 40 years, you learn to, you know, forget him.
Yeah. See, Max, you've learned exactly. You are going to select your focus. So you focus on the lady who's laughing so hard she has to get up and go to the bathroom because she thinks this is so fun.
They usually go to the bathroom while they're there.
Then you can't help but focus. Because you're like,
then everybody's focused. Yeah, I mean, so really you get to decide. And that's the beautiful thing in life is you get to decide what you're going to focus on.
Yeah.
And are you going to focus on the crap and the yuck, or are you going to focus on the good stuff? Because whatever you focus on grows.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, you've seen this. I mean, for comedians, this is so perfect because in a show, you get started and you're going and you focus on that one person who is having a blast. And what happens? Wow, the whole show just explodes and it's just awesome. And you're like, this was one of my favorite ever.
Right.
And your focus is what created that.
Yeah.
And so in life, we get the same thing.
Like this pandemic, it's hard on my kids and it's probably hard on your kids. And I'm sure right now there's a lot of children going through a lot of, because nothing's normal anymore.
Right.
But for me, I spent 40 years on the road and I love being home. I really love being home. And I hear this from other comics too. And Allison is my honey. She's I just love being with her, and it's life is never life. La vita è bella. Life is beautiful. You know.
Yeah.
And that's another thing you talk about. You know, you worked all over the world. Me too. I 29 years working on cruise ships. I've been to countries. I've been to China, Russia, every South American country, and I've seen the suffering. I used to when I used to overnight in Rio de Janeiro. Homeless children. I would bring them to McDonald's and buy them food. I couldn't give them money because if I gave them money, somebody would beat them up to take the money. So I would give them food, and it just broke my heart. And we don't have that in America. We really don't. We don't. You know, and it's so wonderful to, you know. So I always try to. You've seen it. You lived in China. You've seen it.
Well, I traveled in China, but I lived in Hungary, actually, in Eastern Europe.
Budapest.
Yeah, I lived in Debrecen. You've probably been on a river cruise into Budapest.
Buda or Pest. Either people don't realize
they're both awesome. Yeah, so you guys really, this is the whole thing with whatever situation we find ourselves in, is that we get to choose how do we want to focus. And the cool thing is science is showing that when we focus on is what we end up getting. Yeah. And like the whole thing with gratitude, when I talked about focusing on the good and then living in gratitude, changes your life.
It does.
I mean, this is the Bible is not far off when it's like you need to be thankful. Right. And so when we are thankful, it changes our brain circuitry. And we all want that. I mean, we all want a better life. We all want to be happier. And by implementing these kind of strategies, really simple, but really intentional, you set yourself up for that, for all the goodness that follows.
I totally agree. I totally agree. So that was awesome. That was awesome. Let's just go over the 3 real quick.
Sure.
So number 1, we have seek the good, right?
Yeah.
And number 2 is strategize the bad.
Oh, I thought he said straddle the bad. Oh,
that
let me change that.
No.
Wait a minute.
Cross that off. And number 3, we have select your focus. Don't focus on this guy. Focus on that girl. Who's cracking up. So that's awesome, Christy. Christy, I'm so glad you were here. We need some positivity. Definitely.
Thank
today.
you.
If you want to follow Christy, you guys, you can follow her group. It's called Midlife Happy Life Community. It's on Facebook. She's at Christy Largent on Instagram. You guys give her a follow. And thank you so much, Christy, for being here.
Yeah, I'm on Facebook under Christy Largent, or you can just go straight to my community. If they reach out to me, I have a free download they can have on how 31 ways to be more positive. If this is something that's frustrating with some people just get really stuck. And so it's good to know that there are lots of ways that you can be more positive. So just send me a message on Instagram or Facebook, and I will be happy to send you that download for 31 ways to be more positive. Free stuff.
Free stuff on Talk is Cheap. June said, love Christy. And
Tom
said that was very uplifting. And Max is following you now, so don't blame me. No, I
love it.
I just sent her a friend because I'm not going to follow her. I'm not a stalker, you know.
Christy, thank you so much.
Yeah,
back and visit us, right?
I will definitely be visiting you.
Follow you, girl.
I'm sorry about this.
And I'm going to enjoy the rest of the show. I love this. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Christy. Bye. That was awesome. That was so good. See, we need that. We definitely need that today. That's for sure. Max, where did he go?
Drowning.
Hey, Max, don't go away because we're going to bring up our featured guest, and I can't wait. All right, so you've been in comedy for 40 years. Well,
40 years.
He's been in comedy for 47 years. All right, are you ready for this? Oh my gosh. He ran his own comedy club. He's done cruise ships. He's been on the Pocono Newlywed Resort hotels, casinos, senior citizen travel tour shows, USO tour. He wrote a Comedy Corner newspaper column for, get this, 11 years. He taught history of American comedy at Temple University in Philadelphia for 5 years. He had his own feature segment on the Out of the Town TV show for 3 years. He's co-founded the more regional Hospital Clowns. I believe I said it right. If I didn't, he'll correct me.
Just list the 3 things he hasn't done.
I know. He hasn't been on Talk is Cheap, but he has today. So now this will make his life complete. Here you go, Tommy. Finally, he's been waiting for this all his life to come on Talk is Cheap. We got him here. We beamed him here. Here we go. Tommy Moore, everybody.
Hello. Did I do all that stuff? No wonder I'm tired. I gotta take a nap. Hold on.
Oh my gosh.
Naps are great. They're great.
I'm tired too. And Tommy, that's not it, because you've written, how many books have you written?
I wrote 3 books. And I'll tell you why I wrote 3 books, because I always tell stories to other comics, and they said, you got to write a book of all the stories that you've been through. And I wrote 1 book. That was the first book. Then I wrote another, and I wrote a 3rd book. And now I'm on Zoom. This is exciting. So, I did a Zoom last week. Now, I don't know from Zoom. To me, Zoom is like a PBS show from the 60s for kids. And if you heard the song one time, you never forgot it. Remember that song, Zoom, 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 Zoom?
Yeah, oh yeah, I love
this song. Who did they pay to write this song? The same word 27 times. Zoom, zoom, zoom. If Francis Scott Key had done the Star Spangled Banner, it would be flag, 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 flag. Who wrote this? You know what I mean? Then I went from Zoom. I was on Periscope which is another platform I don't know about because I don't know from computers. Periscope just reminded me of being in the Navy when I was kicked out because I was on a submarine with the Periscope. Is it my fault I like to sleep with the window open a little bit? They kicked me out. So now I'm on StepYard or StepFace or
You're
Go
on
in the Yard.
StreamYard. You're on StreamYard.
StreamYard. I couldn't get on. My wife, God bless my wife, she got me on or I wouldn't be here tonight. So it's terrific. Thank God. And I got to say a few things. Oh, Christy was saying very important things. Now, I talked to a lot of comedians. One thing I got to tell you, people are worried, people are upset, people are because of all the nonsense going on. Dick Gregory, great comedian and a great civil rights leader, once told me, worry and God cannot exist in the same space. Think about that, huh? Now, you were saying, what was the first show? The first show, I remember the first show I ever did 47 years ago. It wasn't even a show, it was an amateur contest, okay? Now, in those days, the clubs were run by the boys. If you don't know who that means,
I know what that means.
Sopranos, think The Godfather. I would walk out on stage. I know at any one time, half the audience knew where Hoffa was buried, and one guy still had the shovel, okay? Now, I went to an amateur contest. It was an amateur contest. There were 4 singers and me. 3 of the singers sang Feelings, nothing more. 3 times in a row. The 4th singer sang You and Let Up My Life. She came in second. The only reason they even voted for her because she didn't sing Feelings. All right. I won the contest. I won.
You sang
The prize was the next night I got to appear there for $50. I showed up 3 hours early. And there's police tape around the building. And I look in the window and there's a line of bullet holes across the window. And I realize the window is right in front of the stage. I don't know if I felt better that I didn't get shot or I was angry that I didn't get the $50. Okay. But I never saw anything about it. There was nothing in the paper about the fact the place got shot up. But I have a feeling the guy who shot the place up just didn't like the song Feelings.
It could get on your nerves, yeah.
When you start,
nobody knows nothing. Nobody knows nothing.
I work one place. They all look the same. They all had like crystal chandeliers and flocked wallpaper, and they always had a statue of Venus de Milo with the arms broken, and the owner broke the arms himself just to keep in practice. Okay, so I work one place, and it was Las Vegas show, and I went in. And I said to the guy, what time do you start? Hey, don't worry about it. What do you mean? He said, we don't care about the show. Why not? He said, the show is just a cover. We got a casino, totally illegal. They had blackjack. They had the slot machine. They had slot machines everywhere. They had slot machines in the men's room. If you don't get 3 cherries, you can't go. They had 21. You wouldn't believe, okay? And he said, we'll just put you on to have something to do. So 10 o'clock was the first show. There was a band, a singer, and me. The band played. Nobody danced. They're playing blackjack. They're throwing craps. They don't want to hear the band. The singer came out. She sang. Nobody applauds. They don't care. They're playing blackjack. I come out. I'm 21 years old. I'm going to do good. I'm going to prove that I'm good. I'm hammering away. Next thing you know, they start to laugh. They're laughing good. And I come off after 15 minutes. I'm a bowl of sweat, but I'm victorious. And a guy came up to me, the manager, with a finger that looked like a cannon. And he pointed it in my face. And he said, hey, funny boy, you made them laugh, didn't you? I said, yeah. He said, you know what they weren't doing when they were laughing? I said, no. He said, they weren't losing money. Next show, you don't be so funny, okay? Or we'll pull the microphone out of the wall and we'll wrap it around your neck. Welcome to show business.
Oh my God.
On the next show, you really weren't funny, were you?
You know what I did? Truthfully.
You did my act.
No. By the next show was 12 o'clock. All the wives were sitting in the front. The husbands were still gambling seriously. So I did all jokes that wives would care about, little kids jokes, family jokes. Yeah. And they laughed, and the men didn't care, and everybody was happy.
That was smart. That was smart.
I remember when I first started doing comedy, when I first worked Vegas, the casinos were run by, and you know the great part, you walk in and the guy goes, "Hey, you're the comedian. Yeah, here's some chips right here, passes for this buffet thing, whatever you need, let us know."
Oh, they treat
Now
us
and it was fun. It was fun for us.
Yeah.
Now you go in, they give you a list of things you can't do.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you have to sign waivers and this and that. It's all corporate. But I kind of liked it back when things were like, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I know. It's true. Now from there, I started doing the comedy club, and Max was at our comedy club, the Comedy Factory Outlet. We had 11 comedians. They were all from Philadelphia. And when we started, it was about 77, and comedy wasn't hot yet. Nobody cared. Nobody came. The 11 of us comedians would line up in front of the club like we were customers. And people would walk by and say, "Oh, there's a line for this place. Maybe it's good." And they would get in line. When there was 20, 30, 40, when we get to 50 people, we unlocked the door, walked in. They never knew it was us.
Who were the comics? Do you remember the comics? Was Scheidner one of them?
Oh, no. It was all Philly guys.
Okay.
All Philly. Now, within 2 years, we were popular. We had lines around the block.
Yeah.
Except for 1 week. We came in. By now, there were 3 comedy clubs. And we came in, and there were no reservations. None. Not one. And we couldn't understand why. And we went outside, and we said, "Oh, somebody cut our telephone lines." Maybe it was a rival club owner. Who's to say?
Comedy works, maybe.
We had good things happen to us too. One time we were totally sold out. Car pulls up. Now you got to realize we're a little club on a side street in Philadelphia. We're not in Los Angeles. We're not in New York. We're on a side street in Philadelphia. Car pulls up, says, can we get 4 tickets? Sorry, we're sold out. He goes back to his car. He comes back. He says, "If you can give us 4 tickets, our friend in the car will do a show for free." We said, "Who's your friend?" They said, "Robin Williams." We went in and we looked. It was Robin Williams. We found 4 seats. He came in and did a completely free show for us. It made the papers. And the next day, every friend I had was mad at me because they said, "How come you didn't tell me Robin Williams was going to be there?"
We didn't even know.
I had no idea.
Robin would come to Catch Rising Star almost every night. When he was making Moscow on the Hudson and Garp, he was there every single night. Yeah. I have a great Robin story if you want to hear it. I don't know.
Love to hear it.
I brought him to the comedy. You remember the Comedy Cellar? I hope it reopened.
Oh yeah.
At the time, it wasn't such a hot club. But Bill Grunfest opened it, and I was one of the comics there. I was actually the comic the first night they opened, and then one night I come in and Grunfest said, "My gosh, I've got ABC News coming tonight. I need a celebrity. Max, is there any wait?" So I said, "Let me go up to Catch and see if anyone was hanging out." And Robin was at Catch that night, and I said, "There's a club down in the Village, and can you, and he did it. He said, "Yeah." So we're in the car. We're driving down, and at the time I had a 1968 Chevy Impala convertible, and I had always double parked in front of Catch. Nobody bothered me, And we're driving down 2nd Avenue, and all of a sudden we're at a red light around maybe 60th Street, and we hear Mork. And we look over, and there was a young lady hanging out of a limo, and it was obviously prom season. She's holding a pen and a piece of paper, and she says, "Mork, give me your autograph." And I turned to Robin. I said, "What do you want?" He goes, "I'll do it." He got out of the car. We're still at the red. Now the light is green. People are beeping me on it. He's over there. He signs the autograph, comes back to the car. We're sitting there, and all of a sudden she screams profanity, goes, "That Mark, you misspelled my name. Get back over here." And Robin goes, make a right. And we take off. I said, "What was her name?" He said, "Amy." I said, "You don't know how to spell Amy?" He said, "AMIE, right?" I said, "No." Well, maybe back in the 1800s. But that was, and I brought him down and Grunfest was very, very happy. And he says, "I'll never forget this." And now the club is the hottest club in New York, or it was. I don't know what's going to happen. Dangerfields is closed.
Now, you and I, Matt, we worked all of the Pocono resorts.
Oh yeah,
These 364.
Honest Phil. I loved Honest Phil.
Now, 364 times. Here's my favorite Pocono story, true story. I walked off stage. I had gotten a standing ovation. Woman comes up to me, short, about 80 years old, curly white hair, looks up at me, says, "Young man, I just want you to know something. I see all these comedians on TV, and they sing, and they do impressions, and they play instruments, and they don't make me laugh. But tonight, you made me laugh with no talent whatsoever." And I know that is a compliment. You know what I mean?
I opened for a lot of like big names there, like Little Richard and Temptations, and they used to have big names come up there all the time.
Oh yeah.
And I opened for Little Richard. What a thrill it was to open for Little Richard, you know?
Yeah. I opened for every act that when I was a kid, I would play their records. I opened for Chubby Checker. I opened for Bobby Rydell. Bobby Rydell and I, when we were done, this was the Dover Downs casino. When we were done, they said, "What is there to do around here?" It was midnight. There was nothing to do. They said, "The only thing that's open is Walmart." Now, we're both South Philly guys. We don't know from Walmart, okay? So I don't change. I'm in a tuxedo. We go to the chauffeur takes us to Walmart. I'm probably the only person who's ever been in Walmart in a tuxedo. We're pushing the carts down in Walmart, and I look up at Bobby and say, "Ain't show business glamorous?" Now, Chubby Checker. I opened for Chubby Checker, and I got mad because he was the king of the twist. He would sing the twist 3 times in a row. First, he would sing the twist, then he would show people how to do the twist, and then he would bring somebody up and do the twist with them. He sang the same song 3 times in a row. I said, "Chubby, that's it. Next show, I'm telling the same joke 3 times in a row." He dared me to do it. He dared me. I said, "Watch me." I walk out and I said, "You know, folks, sometimes a part of an audience doesn't hear what I'm saying. So I'm going to do it for all 3 of you." I said, 3 guys walk into a bar, 3 guys walk into a bar, 3 guys walk into a bar. I did the whole act that way, and I won the bet.
The biggest. Now, to me, because I've worked with a lot of celebrities and I met a lot of celebrities, and so have you. And showbiz. I mean, we started with guys like Seinfeld and Paul Reiser and Eddie Murphy. We all started Chappelle. We started with these guys. They were like us, But to me, on a cruise ship, I did a jazz cruise one time, and I worked that night. Was the closing, the last night of the cruise. They had a show. The opening act was Lionel Hampton, and then Cab Calloway, and then Tito Puente, and then special guest comedian Max Dolcelli. So I'm on the same bill with Cab Calloway. Now, do you know who Cab Calloway is, Rhonda?
Yeah.
He was the MC at the Cotton Club. He was super famous. And to me, in my career, he's probably the most famous person I've ever worked with.
Yeah.
Was that?
And I met so many.
So have you ever gotten starstruck? Like, have you met anybody that you kind of got starstruck when you met them?
Not really. Cab Calloway. I felt like, whoa, you Mr. Calloway, just call me Cab. Okay.
I wrote a comedy column for 11 years. I interviewed every big name comedian there was.
Yeah.
And so I stopped being starstruck about the third one. But I mean, the things they told me, George Burns, at the time, I think he was 91. And I asked him, I said, "What would you give as your best piece of advice for a new young person starting out in show business?" And he said, "Never leave your wallet in the dressing room."
You know what advice I give young comics?
What?
Especially because when they're young and they first started, they bomb and they feel bad. I said, when you bomb, don't feel bad, because that's when you learn. You learn when you bomb. Because when you have a great show, you walk up and say, "Hey, guys, thank you, man. You want to drink?" Everybody, you forget about it. But when you bomb, it stays with you until you next time you go on stage. So bombing is not a negative; it's actually a positive because it teaches you not what not to do the next time.
Right.
And it's funny because comedians have a very violent language. We bombed, we died, or we killed them, we murdered them, we slaughtered them. Now, I heard your other guest, Christy, talk about doing lectures. I did how to relieve stress through humor lectures for 10 years for corporate companies, Fortune 500. After one of the guys who knew the lingo came up to me and said, "Boy, you killed him." And another guy said, "No, he didn't kill him. He helped him live." That's what comedians do. That's what comedians do. There was a comedian in the 60s named Wavy Gravy who said
Wavy Gravy. I remember Wavy Gravy.
Said it better than anybody.
Do you remember Wild Man Steve?
Oh yeah.
Oh man, that's when I was growing up.
Can't tell any of his jokes on Rhonda's show.
Oh yeah, I am the wild. Oh man.
But Wavy Gravy said.
Wait, I'll tell you a punchline.
Go ahead.
That's what I know. But when I took off them jaws and I saw that little bitty fuse, I thought you were going to blow up any minute. You remember that joke?
Yeah, Rhonda's getting worried now.
Okay, no. Sorry, Rhonda. I said.
Yeah. I know what you said. I know what the joke is.
I said fuse.
I know.
The Wavy Gravy said, laughter is like the little escape valve on the pressure cooker. If you don't laugh, you wind up with beans on the ceiling.
Yeah.
So you gotta laugh. You gotta laugh at things.
You gotta let it go. But you see, I grew up. My stepfather was black. I grew up. My mother married a black man when I was 5 or 6. He brought us to America from Italy. Io sono italiano vero, and so everything around me was different when I was a child because all my neighbors were black. My whole life was in the neighborhood. The people in the neighborhood would listen to party records, and Wild Man Steve was very, very, very popular. So remember we were talking about this in Facebook. Open the door, Richard.
Oh yeah.
Open the door and let me in.
Yep.
A lot of people don't even know. You know, Dusty Fletcher.
Dusty Fletcher.
Yeah. A lot of people don't know who he is.
We're doing inside stuff.
Yeah.
No,
maybe most people don't know.
Because
Don Rickles.
Especially African American comics don't even know who they're, people they know for Dave Chappelle, they know for Kevin Hart, but they don't really know the history of African American comics, like Moms Mabley. Jackie Mabley used to be in a lot of movies. They used to make African American black movies just for black people back then.
Yeah.
And she was a big star in these movies, but people don't know that.
Oh yeah. I met Moms Mabley, and she said wonderful thing. Yeah. She said a wonderful thing to me. She said, there's only 2 kinds of people in the world. People who are doing better than you and people who are doing worse. The people who are doing better than you learn from. The people who are doing worse, you help.
You help. There you go. See, I love that. I love that. I love that.
Hey, Scott says, after 18 years, I guess I still haven't learned to love enough. He says, if you learn from bombing, I should be brilliant. I love Scott. I love Scott Higgins. June
Higgins. Hi, Scott.
Loving the stories tonight. So fun. Isn't it great, June? I could just sit here. Listen, you guys, I do want to play a game tonight because I do that on Talk of Cheap. But, I mean, it's going to help you tell a few stories because we're going to bring up your battery's low, huh?
Look, this was my childhood when I was a kid. That was me.
That's awesome. I know which one you were. I can pick you out.
My whole life. That was my whole life. I mean, I didn't for years. I didn't even know that anything else.
Max, I have to bring you on. Like, I want to do some segments where I truly hear back stories. I have to do that. Maybe it'll be some bonus content for people who for the Talk is Cheap audience. I have to do that because
Tommy,
stories that I mean that you guys have a million. If I can ever get Tommy back on again,
you will.
Let him here. So wait, all right, let's
don't never
start
log
the
off,
game.
Tommy. Just stay logged on.
Yes, stay logged on forever. All right, let's start the game. The game is called You've Got Game. And tonight's game is Laugh Your Mask Off. Okay, that was my little laugh. And so what I'm going to do, you guys, is I'm going to put up a photo of a comedian that has a mask on, and you have to identify said comedian. How's that? That work for you? All right.
Okay.
We can go back and forth if you want. Let's bring up Tommy, we're going to have you start. Let's bring up our first masked comedian. And let me just tell you what you're playing for. Are you ready? You are playing for the Rhonda Curry Comedy Hand Sanitizer. 100% clean comedy. 100% clean hands. Okay. Anyway, that's what you're playing for. Do you know who this famous comedian is, Tommy Moore?
Course. It's George Burns. I got to tell you another story he told me.
Yes, that's what I want.
Yeah. He said, the important thing is to love what you do. Doesn't even matter if you're good at it. If you're good at something and you hate it, you're going to have a miserable life. But if you're mediocre, even bad at something, but you love it, you're going to have a wonderful life. He came down to do a luncheon with us. And here was like a 91-year-old man coming to a luncheon when other big stars wouldn't even meet us. And somebody said, why are you doing this? He says, because I love what I do. I love meeting people. I love talking to them. I love it. I've loved it all my life. He said, I loved it when I was no good. He said, when I was a single before I met Gracie, okay, I would do anything to be in show business. I was in an agent's office once, and the agent said, I need a dog act. He said, I told him, I'm a dog act. He said, really? Yeah, I'm a dog act. He said, I went out, I bought a piece of liver, and I tried to get a dog to come to me. When they came to me, I grabbed the dog. I went over, I walked, I said, here's the dog. I'm a dog act. They booked me. I came out with the dog under my arm. I told my jokes. I said goodnight. I made $50.
That's awesome.
All right. I love what I do.
That's awesome. Well, Tommy, we've got 1 point for Tommy. All right, Max, we got one for you. Ready?
Okay.
All right. Who?
That is not George Burns.
No, that is not.
I don't know. He looked familiar. Maybe I'm coming to join you, baby. I have no idea who that man is right there. Wait a minute. That could be Red. Is that Red Fox? I'm taking a wild guess. That's Red Fox, right?
Red Fox. That's right. Red Fox.
I worked with Red Fox. Did you work
with Red Fox, right?
Yeah. In fact, I've got I had photos of him and I together, and they're all gone because they were thrown away by. But this is what he gave me, and he wrote, to Max, thank you for looking out for me, or something like that.
Oh, how awesome is that?
It says, to Max, thanks for looking out for me. Love, Red.
Very
nice. That is so cool.
You know, he was such a nice guy, and he paid me in cash.
Oh, that's nice, huh?
Don't say nothing to nobody. Right?
That's awesome. Well, this is a fun game. We're tied.
Was that Red Fox? Was that Red Fox?
That was Red Fox.
Was that right?
Yes, you did. It's a tight score. I have to keep. We don't have the regular scorekeeper tonight. I'm sorry. So it's me, but I am trying to keep score. Okay. We usually have a fancy scorekeeper. All right. Are you ready? It's Tommy's turn. All right, Tommy, you ready? Who is this masked comic?
Don Rickles.
That is Don Rickles. That is correct.
I did AM Philadelphia with Don Rickles. And he told me a very important key point for any comedian. He said when he started out in show business, his father told him, whatever you do, be different. Be different. Now, so Rickles did the insult thing.
Right.
Okay, now, here's the story.
Jackie Leonard would talk you.
Oh, yeah. Now, We wanted to work the Copacabana.
Yeah.
All right. Julie Podell, who was the head of the Copacabana, said, "You'll never work in my room because you insult people and you ain't going to insult my people." All right. Now, Don heard this from Julie Podell's mouth. He called his manager. Now, his manager was, shall we say, connected. We're going back to the boys and we're going back to Soprano. A couple of phone calls were made, and they said to Julie Podell, "We like Don Rickles. You will book Don Rickles." The next thing you know, he booked Don Rickles. And every night when Rickles came off, Julie Podell said, "You're the funniest guy in the world. I love you. You're terrific." Now, I got to tell you one other Julie Podell story. I won't mention the comic because it's not nice.
Okay.
There was a comedian who was kind of new, but somebody knew him, so they put him on stage at the Copacabana. And when he walked in, Julie Podell says, "Hey, comedian, come here. Are you funny?" And the guy was so nervous. He said, "No, Mr. Podell, I'm not." Podell walked away. All right. The comedian went on stage, did 15 minutes of material in 7 minutes because he was bombing. Okay. He came off. Julie Podell crooks his finger, says, "Come here." He puts the comedian in a headlock and he said, "I like you, kid. You keep your word."
Now, Tommy, you're going to have to message me the comedian's name.
I will.
That's awesome.
Now I got to do it. I got to give you another one. This was not Julie Podell.
Okay.
And I can tell you who the comic was. It was Bucky Williams. And Bucky was just starting out. And he went on stage and he got nothing. Just bad audience, bad night, who knows. But the owner, again, crooked his finger, says, "Come here." And Bucky said, "Look, you don't have to pay me. He said, "No, this ain't the March of Dimes. You're going to get paid. Stick out your hand." He took out his hand. A guy took out a wad of bills and went 20, 40, 60, 80, 100. Run.
Yeah.
That's great.
You only got paid 100?
In those days,
That was a lot of money, right?
I remember my first time I pips, I got paid $5. $5. $5 a show and we got pips.
All right, we got one for you, Max. Are you ready?
Sono pronto, sì.
Okay. It's coming. Here we go.
Sam. Oh, Sam.
That is correct.
I brought Sam to New York. I met him at the Comedy Store before he became famous. Before he became anything. You want to hear a great story?
I would love to hear a story.
Okay, I met Sam. I was out in LA and I met Sam at the Comedy Store. I went, me and Lenny Schultz. Lenny said, "You got to see this guy. He's crazier than me." So I went to see him. I'm watching him and people were walking out on him. And, and he's like screaming that, and he's going, "Oh, you hate me. You hate me. I wish I had a list of your sacred dead," and that kind of,
Yeah.
But anyway, he walks off stage and I walked up and said, "Man, I loved your show." He goes, "Didn't you see everybody walking out on me?" I said, "Yeah, but if you ever come to New York City, this is a true story. I'm not making this really happened. Call me when you come to New York City. Because I can help you get some work. It's not great work. Remember, I knew Balazzos and Jerry Stanley, and I said, it's like one nighter, but you can work 7 nights a week, but the money's not that great. Because if I come to New York, I have no place to stay in New York. Now, this is back in the 80s, before cell phones or internet. And so
Right.
I said, "You can stay with me." I figured I'd never hear from him, I just said it to be polite. So I gave my number and, I fly back to New York. The next day after I flew back to New York, I get a call. And at the time, and my wife, she said, "There's some guy named Sam on the phone." I said, "Sam who?" She goes, "I don't know." So I said, "Hey, Max, this is Sam." I said, "Sam who?" He said, "Sam Kennison. Remember you said if I ever come to New York, you can get me work and you still do that?" I said,
"Oh yeah, Sam from the Comedy Store. Yeah, I can do that." He goes, "Well, he goes, you really?" He goes, "If I ever come there, can I still stay with you?" I said, "Yeah." I'm being polite. He goes, I said, "Well, where are you?" He goes, "I'm in Kansas City." I said, "Oh, you got a gig?" He goes, "No, man, I'm on my way." I said, "Already?" He goes, "Yeah, I'm on my way. Can I still stay with you?" I said, yeah. When you gonna be here?" He goes, "Tomorrow." I said, "Oh, okay. But I got my girlfriend Corey. Can my girlfriend Corey stay too?" I said, "Yeah." And my brother Kevin. Can my brother Kevin stay? I said, "Oh, is there anybody else?" He goes, "No, just the three of us."
Oh my word.
So he shows up the next day, and Kevin slept on the couch, and his brother Kevin, before Sam made it, passed away. He was very young, but they stayed on my guy, and I brought him to New York. I brought him to the comic strip and the Catch, and Palazzo's got him work, and Jerry's playing. I got him some work, and he stayed there for quite a while. And then they, went back. And then one night Rodney saw him, and he loved him, and put him on his special, and he became a star.
Wow.
So that's my Sam Kinison. I brought Sam Kinison to you. In fact, I've got a picture of him in my living room. I mean, in my kitchen with his girlfriend. If you want, I have to look for it.
Like literally in your kitchen.
With his girlfriend Corey at the time.
Wow, that's crazy.
Of course, he married somebody else. But I bought him. Did you ever meet Sam before he made it?
Oh, you're telling me? Yeah, I met him, and I knew immediately who he was.
Yeah.
Because somebody said, "There's this guy on the West Coast that women hate him." And the minute I heard the first line out of his mouth, I said, "That must be the guy. That must be the guy." And we're not talking a lot about women in comics. I was one of the first people to book Rosie O'Donnell. Now, this is embarrassing because the show was Margaret Smith, who made $10.
Margaret.
Rosie O'Donnell, who made 20, and I made 40. Okay.
Yeah.
Now Rosie O'Donnell's worth about $6 million, and I'm worth about 40. Okay.
I worked with her at Bob Kephardt's place at the Trop.
Yeah. I said, I'm embarrassed. It's only $20, but it was better than last night where I worked. And she said, "Why?" I said, "Last night we had a show, 3 of us, and we got paid with a meal." Okay. It was like we were holding up a sign, "We'll work for food." Okay. Now it gets worse. We're sitting at the table. The waitress comes over, and I said, "Oh, just so you know, you don't have to make up a check because we're gratis. We get a meal for free." So I've decided to order something, middle of the road, chop steak, not something expensive, but chop steak. I see her go over to the owner and talk to him, and I saw her face drop, and she came back and she said, "I'm sorry, but the owner said comedians can't have meat."
How many times have I heard that? How many times?
So I said to Rosie O'Donnell, "That's going to be my epitaph. Comedians can't have meat." She said, "No, I'm stealing it. I'm taking it. That's my epitaph from now on." Comedians can't have meat.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. They used to have special menus for the comics. Do you remember? You know why? Do you remember Zach and Mac?
Oh, 1,000 pounds between them.
Oh my goodness!
Wow.
This is how I'll show you. I'll give you an example of Zach and Mac. Mac would come on stage and introduce Zach, and Zach would come on to a sound of a 747 landing, and Mac would bring him on like this, and he was so huge. How fat was he? I don't know. I never got back far enough to see all of them.
And do you know why we couldn't book him at the Comedy Factory? They wouldn't fit up the aisle. We had seats screwed into the floor like in a movie theater.
Yeah.
They wouldn't fit up the aisle.
No, both of them passed away.
Oh my gosh. You guys.
Legend in comedy that people don't know of.
No, well, you know what? I would love to have you back on. I don't know if we could ever get Tommy back on here.
Yes, I'll come back.
But because I know we'll have to start like a couple of hours at a time.
Wait.
I said we'll have to have you both back on. Max Docelli,
We should talk about guys like, legends like John Fox and Frankie Bastille.
I want to hear stories. Isn't it? Yes, great
comics that
stories,
no one-
Fran says.
I don't
Great
think there's a
stories.
story about John Fox you can tell on this show. Is there?
Well, don't eat the mayonnaise in the condom.
I don't want to hear bad stories. Hey, you guys out there, if you want to follow Max Giocelli, you can do that. You can follow Max. Go check out his website, maxgiocelli.com. His dry bar special is called Funny is All Around Us. All you have to do is go to drybarcomedy.com/maxd and you can check out his dry bar special. It's really funny. He's an amazing
can I just say, it was an honor to work with Tommy Moore. He is a legend in the business. This guy.
And let me say, and I was going to say this anyway, not because you said that. Watch his special on Dry Bar because, and I said this in writing. Some comedians say funny things. Some comedians say things in a funny way. Max does both.
Yes, I agree. That's awesome. Tommy, you're amazing. You guys, you want to follow Tommy, you can do that. Tommy Moore is on Facebook and YouTube, and he has a really amazing website, the profcomedy.com. Go check him out too.
While we're talking about YouTube, make sure you look at Rhonda's YouTube clips. I saw them, some of the smartest, cleanest writing I have ever seen. Really good stuff.
Oh, that's so sweet. I didn't even pay. You don't get paid for the show. I don't know if you know that or not. We don't pay anything, but you did. You both will be winning the Rhonda Core Comedy hand sanitizer. So that's a parting gift. Also, we got to see who's coming up on Sunday's show. Alex, can you put that up for me? On Sunday's show, my guest co-host will be voice actor Denny Brownlee, and our featured comedian is going to be Danny Successful Simmons. That's right. And joining us as my special guest, Gail Cooper will be popping by just to give us some holiday tips. So I'm excited for Sunday's show. I hope you guys will all be joining us. And Max and Tommy, I am honored to have you both on my show. Yes, June says, great show tonight. It really was. I would love to have you back on because I could just sit here all night and hear your stories. Thank you so much.
Could I leave it one thought? I talked to Johnny Carson once, and because we both used to go to the Stage Deli in New York, owned by Max Asness. And he said, Max Asness said something that he would never forget, and now I'll never forget. Max said, it's nice to be important, but it's important to be nice.
Nice.
You know what? On that note, we are going to end this episode, which I don't want to. But you guys, thanks for watching. Thank you guys. If you want to stick around for a couple of minutes, stay in the green room. Help yourself to any snacks you want. And you guys, episode 64 is out.
Ciao.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Look around, you guys.